Islam and Christianity, as two of the world's largest religions, share many commonalities, yet they also differ significantly in their approaches to worship. One notable distinction is Islam's emphasis on structured worship practices, which are more frequent and ritualized compared to Christianity. Let's explore the reasons behind this emphasis, delving into theological, historical, and practical factors that highlight the unique characteristics of each faith. The central role of worship in Islam. In Islam, worship, ibadah, is seen as the very purpose of human existence. The Quran states, "And I did not create the jinn and mankind except to worship me," Quran 51-56. This foundational concept underscores the importance of worship as an act of devotion, gratitude, and submission to Allah. The structured nature of Islamic worship is evident in the 5 pillars of Islam, which provide a framework for a Muslim's daily life. 1. A constant reminder of the belief in the oneness of Allah. 2. Performed 5 times a day, prayer is a disciplined practice that connects Muslims to Allah regularly. 3. A form of worship through wealth sharing, emphasizing social justice. 4. Observed during Ramadan, fasting instills self-discipline and spiritual reflection. 5. A once-in-a-lifetime obligation, if able, that symbolizes unity and submission to Allah. This structured approach to worship ensures that Muslims constantly reaffirm their faith and live in accordance with divine guidance. Christianity's emphasis on faith over rituals. Christianity, while also valuing worship, places greater emphasis on faith and personal relationship with God. The New Testament teachings, particularly those of Jesus Christ, stress the importance of inner transformation over external rituals. For instance, Jesus taught, "God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the spirit and in truth," John chapter 4 verse 24. This highlights a shift from Old Testament rituals to a more spiritual and relational form of worship. Many Christian denominations encourage personal prayer, Bible study, and communal worship, often centered around weekly gatherings, such as Sunday services. The sacraments, like baptism and the Eucharist, are significant rituals but are not as frequent or structured as the daily practices in Islam. Theological foundations of worship practices. The structured worship in Islam can be attributed to its theological framework, which emphasizes submission to Allah's will. The term, Islam, itself means submission, and worship practices are a means to demonstrate obedience and humility. In contrast, Christianity's focus on grace and salvation through Jesus Christ places less emphasis on ritualized worship. The Apostle Paul emphasized that salvation is a gift of God's grace, not dependent on works or rituals, Ephesians chapter 2 verse 8-9. This theological stance has led to a more flexible approach to worship practices among Christians. Cultural and historical contexts. The emphasis on worship practices in Islam also stems from its historical and cultural contexts. When Islam emerged in 7th century Arabia, it provided a comprehensive code of conduct to unify diverse tribes under one faith. The structured practices served as a visible and practical way to instill discipline and communal identity. Christianity, on the other hand, evolved within the context of Roman and later European societies, where it gradually moved away from Jewish ritualistic traditions and adapted to varying cultural norms. This adaptability contributed to the diverse worship styles seen in Christianity today. Practical implications of worship in daily life. Islam's focus on regular worship practices fosters a deep sense of discipline and mindfulness in daily life. Praying 5 times a day ensures that Muslims constantly realign their actions with their faith. Similarly, fasting during Ramadan and giving Zakat instills selflessness and social responsibility. In Christianity, personal devotion through prayer and service to others is emphasized, often encouraging believers to live out their faith in everyday actions rather than through fixed rituals. This flexible approach allows Christians to adapt their worship to their individual circumstances. Conclusion. The emphasis on worship practices in Islam compared to Christianity reflects the unique theological and cultural contexts of these religions. Islam's structured worship underscores submission and discipline, while Christianity's focus on personal faith highlights grace and inner transformation. Both approaches offer profound insights into the ways humans connect with the divine and integrate spirituality into their lives. Understanding these differences fosters greater appreciation for the diversity of religious expression and the shared goal of seeking a closer relationship with God.